council meeting to order. First order of business will be the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to pull item F, civil defense appointment memo, out of the consent agenda for regular discussion, please.
We have a motion for item F. Consent, move it to.
I don't know where we are in administrative with the new, well, I guess that's what we got, Jay. I know we have a bunch of other stuff that came in last night as well, so.
We don't need a motion. The council member can pull anything out of consent.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought it had to be total on the agenda, so.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. A couple items under administration. Number J, resolution 2317, approving local food unit license for 2 Haven Grill. K, request for variance on number of chickens to be kept. L, David Brown financial engagement letter. And under public works, item D, vote for the shop, decoration work, and number 11, full session about break.
So we have a motion to add items J, K, and L along with public works, add item D. Item 11, closed session for extra discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, Randy?
Aye.
JP?
Aye.
Jason? Aye. James? Aye. We got a packed agenda tonight, so we're going to keep the meeting moving right along here. I'll go first order of business on, I have a statement for the state publicly. On April 4th, the city council held a closed session at special council meeting to discuss the performance of Parks and Street Supervisor Wayne King. During the meeting, the city approved an employment separation agreement with King. That's a public record, and we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes our March 21st, 2023 regular council meeting minutes, April 4th, 2023 special council meeting minutes, Stephen Shebel's probation completed, Tom Williams Class D water license certification, Kennedy and Graydon legal rates, and wastewater treatment plant certificate of commendation.
Move approval of consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Randy?
Aye.
JP?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
David's aye, and then
I was going to move to approve the consent agenda. I just keep moving.
Alright.
I didn't know it was something that could be read.
All right. I want to take a moment and we're going to recognize our wastewater treatment staff. If you'd like to come to the front of the council chambers, please. There's 2 of you. So we have every once in a while, we got 2 of our members here. I want to recognize these gentlemen for their work with our public works program. It's nice that we every once in a while get to recognize the work that they do, and they do a fantastic job. And when we have items like the certificate that we can recognize them publicly and thank them, I'd like to take that opportunity and say congratulations for your work and well done. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. There's a few of their guys that weren't able to be here tonight, but we want to publicly thank them for that. So congratulations, gentlemen. We're going to move on to our public input. We have a few items in here. First one we have on the list is Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson here. Is that written or?
No, we get all the wild ones that he wanted to speak, so I'm not sure.
Is that Pastor Eric Johnson?
Correct.
We'll keep moving on along to Tara Lynn Twaddle with the Cheese Fest update. Ms. Twaddle, welcome. Cheese Fest,
up last minute details, finalizing our schedule, and pushing out our advertising. As always, we do want to extend our deepest gratitude to Public Works and the fire department for all that they do to support us in planning, and of course, the real work that comes that we know all those guys and gals put a lot of time in. It's pretty status quo, but there are some exciting changes this year. We're able to increase our advertising, so we continue to look for event sites and free avenues to promote the festival, but then also added advertising in the Post Bulletin. That's we've just been exclusive to the News Record, so to try and gain some more exposure, get more people in. We've streamlined our vendor registrations to all go for our website, along with providing the ability to purchase carnival vouchers, buttons, and ducks on the website. And we'll also have a presence at the 6th annual Craft and Vendor Market during citywide garage sales to sell these items and promote the festival. We will increase our seating this year. We are increasing our food vendors this year, from these to increase craft and vendor market vendors. And then we've collaborated with other groups to provide activities during the festival. So we collaborated with the golf course for the golf tournament, Wrestling Booster Club for a Saturday pancake breakfast, girls basketball for a Friday beanbag tournament, Trailhead for a Saturday volleyball tournament, American Legion for the Sunday omelet breakfast, Miss Angie's Place for a Saturday morning kids day ahead of the carnival, and the Pine Island Pickleball Association for a pickleball tournament. We've also increased our interest in sponsorship and are on pace to have one of our better years for that, which is always good. And we'll hopefully be finalizing a World Cheese Market in the Creamery and potentially an additional Saturday afternoon event. And last but not least, maybe one of our favorites is we have refreshed cheese leaf, so we will have a new cheese steak this week.
Very much appreciate your work and leadership on this. The event kicks off the summer festival season.
No, it's good. I've got a great board, great volunteers, so it's everybody that comes together. And thank you guys for your support too. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carolyn. We have next item G, the Pine Island Pickleball Association. Are there members from the association here? Is that just a written correspondence?
There's a written correspondence in the packet. Essentially, they are looking for permission to host tournaments on the pickleball courts. They have come to the park board and they've recommended that they come to city council. My recommendation is that we discuss it sometime at a work session, since I know we typically don't act on public input items. But essentially what it comes down to is typically we can reserve out some facilities where we charge a fee, but since we don't charge a fee for the pickleball courts, I think we just need to look at what that structure.
Then let's keep moving on to item E, which will be Ms. Marie Galato with her report. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
So I am here basically as a board member from Southeastern Minnesota Area Agency on Aging. I think in your packet here are a couple of items talking about the funding that's coming down from the Minnesota Board on Aging. These are federal funds. The Older American Act requires the Minnesota Board on Aging to take a look at how they disperse the funding that comes from the Older Americans Act every 10 years. This is funding that we're going to get stuck with basically for 10 years. And what they're looking at now is what percentages do they give to different different weights of categories like 60 plus population, 60 plus low income, 60 plus rural, which they are suggesting goes from 10% of the money to 15%, and we want to go to 25 because we know the rural areas need more money and have less facilities and less resources. And 60 plus, for instance, living alone, they have 5%, we want to go to 10% of that. So really what I'm looking for here is both individual comments, because the public comment section section ends May 3rd. So anyone who knows anyone in a rural area in Minnesota should go out to the website that was created by the AAAs, the outer state AAAs, called greaterminnesotaaging.org, and put in a comment about how they feel about the funding that is going to be cut to all of those rural AAAs. And then also, if the city council is interested in doing a letter of support, that's something I put in the packet. I've gone to the city of Mazeppa, the senior citizens. I have a list of people that have already signed up. They're sending a letter. I addressed Pine Island Areas and Services Board, gave them information. The Legion is going to be having a sign up list there. I'll be going to the city of Goodhue and the city of Zamora, mainly because it's close. What this means specifically to Pine Island, our funding is Southeastern Minnesota Area Agency on Aging funds SEMCAP, which provides senior dining and home delivered meals in Pine Island. We also fund Three Rivers, Hiawatha Transit, and Heart volunteer riders. Our funding will get cut by $250,000. SEMCAP has estimated that a cut in funding at the percentages that Minnesota Board of Aging is putting forth will cause them to reduce the number of meals that they will provide by 95 per day. That's 95 meals per day less in their service area among the communities that they serve. That's not going to be necessarily 2 in every community or whatever. That could be, we only send 3 meals to West Concord and we can't afford to send meals there. They're going to have to make decisions like that. So there will be communities that will lose meals. So that's
And that's provided, and that those meals provided locally come from area home services over here.
no,
serve out of there?
they come from SEMCAP to the senior center. And there are some SEMCAP employees, basically, they're senior citizen members that provide the meals for congregate dining. And then the delivery comes through, I think, Pine Island Area Services, some comes from Three Rivers too.
Okay.
And so that's how it's going to specifically involve Pine Island and could affect Pine Island. Those are the 2 areas.
No, they're people without meals.
People without meals, and then possibly a reduction in the Hiawatha Line Transit. Anyone that uses the Heart volunteer drivers in addition. The other thing that could affect Pine Island Area Home Services is the fact that if these services are available, for instance, if Hiawatha Transit is available, they may get a higher call for more drivers, which maybe they can look at that as a good thing, or they can look at that as a strain on the volunteers that they have. Because I know that in the winter time they have fewer volunteers because a lot of the drivers are older adults who go south in the winter.
Yes.
So we have less drivers available to take people to appointments. So it's a bad thing for all of the rural areas. The metro area is going to gain over $500,000 of funding. And so we're just hoping, unfortunately, to not lose as much. So that's what we're looking for, support. And anyone who's here who wants to send something out, send out your comments, tell them that we are important in the rural areas and that matters here. In some cases, by the way, this Older Americans Act funding is the funding of last resort. And a lot of people, a lot of places, including maybe in some cases, Pine Island, that's the only place that they can get that service. So if that isn't available, the cities are going to have to step up, and all your service organizations are going to have to step up, because these people, if they don't get a meal, how are they going to eat? Where are they going to get that food? So it's going to fall on the communities if the funding is reduced. And again, we're stuck with this for 10 years. So.
I appreciate it very
Thank
much, Marie. Thank you so much for your advocacy and your information.
Thanks.
All right. Now we're going to move on to our administrative section. Item A is resolution 23-13, ratifying the resolution ordering improvements and preparation of plans.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, all this is a resolution that was passed last October with the previous council. And so we just wanted to reaffirm that through the current council to show that there's majority support for the street project.
We're looking for a motion on resolution 23-13.
I'll move resolution 2313.
I'll second.
The motion and a second, any other discussion? Right, Brandy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David, aye. Item B, we're gonna move right along to Mike Bubani with Fourth Street Southwest Financing Option. Welcome, sir. Haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back to Rhode Island.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm here tonight to present recommendations for financing for the Fourth Street Southwest project. Now, I know some of you were here, but some of you might not have been. Who on the council was involved in our capital financial planning work session last year, where I used a bunch of graphs and spreadsheets? Were you folks there for that? No, you weren't. Okay, but you're familiar with the model? Yeah, okay. So last year, we did some planning in advance of this project. So when we got to this point, we have some idea of how we want to pay for things. And so that's going to be reflected in my recommendations. In your packet, there is a letter, but more importantly, there is a spreadsheet exhibit, which I'll be speaking directly from that. So the first thing that we always need to determine is what is the statutory authority we intend to use to issue bonds? It's a question we've always got to answer. And we've usually got a variety of options. And one of the options that I had anticipated using was special assessment authority under 429. You just ratified your previous action from last fall. However, in speaking with the engineer, we can classify this project as a sewer and water project, as a utility project. Granted, there are street costs, yet, but you have to tear up the street to get the pipe, and you got to put the street back when the pipe is done. And so the engineer was comfortable in saying this is indeed can be categorized as a utility project. So instead of using the assessment authority, I'm suggesting we do this thing as utility revenue bond. There's added benefit to that, in that we can pursue state credit enhancement for something like this. The way I always explain the credit enhancement is the teenage son who wants to get a loan to buy a car, but can't get the loan, so mom and dad co-sign the loan, even though the kid's responsible for the payments. Well, in this case, you're the 17-year-old kid trying to get a loan for the car, in the state of Minnesota's mom and dad that co-sign the loan. Don't be alarmed, you absolutely could get the financing without the credit enhancement. In fact, Island's got a very good credit rating, but the state of Minnesota has a AAA rating. So if we can slap this AAA rating on top of your own rating, it will make these funds even more attractive and possibly quite a bit better interest rate as well. So over the life of the deal, we could save quite a bit of money. The added cost of going through that program only adds $500. So recommendation number one is simply utility revenue authority and then credit enhancement. Now, in terms of sizing, on the spreadsheet on the top left-hand quadrant of the page, you're going to see the project cost totaling a little over $4 million. That's construction, that's engineering, and that's contingency. And you can see that I have one little piece of that capital outlay of $300-some thousand of being non-utility related. In actuality, what that non-utility related is the recommended amount of contingency for the project. And if you go down into the sources and uses, you'll see I have city cash equal to that amount to offset that. That's important for a couple of different reasons. Number one is, if we're going to call this a sewer and water project, if there's any argument that we're including stuff that couldn't be categorized as sewer and water, this is a safety measure to say, hey, we're going to use cash for those potential items. But the other reason has to go back to that planning when we put this thing up on the wall. We've talked about a 20-year term, and we had anticipated payments being around $320,000 a year. So if you go to the bottom of the page and you look at the principal and the interest under the column saying payment total, you can see outside of this first payment, payments are right around that $320,000 a year. So by using that cash, it gives us the benefit of making sure there's no question that we have the legal ability to use utility authority. And number two, it gets the bond size to an amount that will generate payments that we have planned on. Now, if it turns out, since this money is exactly equal to the contingency, if you don't have the overruns and whatnot, you might not have to use that money. So when you close on the bond and the proceeds, I would say you use all that money first. And then if you need to use cash, then you bring in the cash, but not until that point. So as a result of that, when we take the capital cost plus the issuance expenses and take away the cash, we've got a borrowing there of 3.83 million over the 20 years, as I mentioned. Over on the right-hand side, in a halfway up in a box, you'll see the net effective rate. And basically, that is a measurement of the yields on the maturities down below, and as well as the underwriter's discount, which is under the sources and uses. That 1% underwriter's discount is considered an interest expense. So I'm showing a projected net effective rate of 3.56%. I will tell you, I think that's a little high. I tend to be a little cautious when I do these recommendations, just because things can happen between now and when you actually award sales bonds. So I'm thinking this is high, but we'll find out in a moment. And that's based on what I'm seeing what other cities are getting in the bond sale market. In fact, what we saw late last year was interest rates were rising, and the Fed continuing to raise rates. We thought that was going to continue, but I think it's because there's been just a lack of bond sales in Minnesota that bidders are hungry. And we actually, from December to now, actually saw a slight downturn in interest rates for muni bonds. So that's working in our favor at the moment. Okay, if you look down at the pledged revenues, because this is a utility bond, we have to pledge water and sewer revenues. What you don't see is from back last year when we did our capital financial planning, we had planned on a blend of revenues. We had planned on water and sewer, we had planned on special assessment revenue, and we had planned on some tax revenues. We're still going to use those things. So when it's all said and done, I will be giving, this is all closed, I will be giving Elizabeth a worksheet on how to budget for this thing so that it works in accordance with our planning for last year. And so there shouldn't be any surprises in that regard. On the right-hand side of the page, again, about halfway up, a couple of slots down from the net effective rate, you'll see something called call option. This is a date to which you promise not to prepay the bonds. You can decide to use any date you like. You could say that you can prepay the bonds tomorrow if you want. The problem with doing something like that is the purchaser is going to jack up the interest rate because they don't want to go through all the work of deciding to borrow or buy bonds and then have you turn off the payment next week. So if you were to push this out to February 1st, 2031, and in the limited amount of bond sales that are going on in Minnesota, this is probably the most popular date. You should not see an adverse impact on your bids as a result. I am suggesting that this sale be done through a competitive measure. So just like you would bid a road project and you have quantities that you're going to bid, what we would do is we would bid it out like a road project, but instead of bidding quantities, we'll bid these principal payments. Just these principal payments starting in February of 24 and going down. And then what happens is bidders, they assign interest rates to each one of those maturities. And then when we match that up to get the net effective rate, we would suggest giving it to the best, the lowest overall cost. Revisiting the issuance cost, the underwriter's discount above. Now, by rule, an underwriter can purchase the bonds with up to a 2% discount. And what a discount is basically their compensation. So an example I always give is imagine a $100,000 bond. I buy the bond, but I only give you $98,000. But I turn around and sell that bond to somebody else for the full $100,000. I make $2,000 at 2%. That's what's happening here. You're going to get underwriters that are going to bid on this intent for piecing this up and reselling it to the customers for profit. We can establish whatever discount you want up to 2%. I think 1% is sufficient to have enough interest. We don't need to offer more than that. One thing I'll point out that's not included in this because there's just no way for me to nail it down is if you look at those interest rates down below, what's going to end up happening, I think, is that they're going to actually be assigning coupon rates closer to 4 and 5%. But what they're going to do is be selling these bonds on the other side with an underlying yield that's closer to what I'm showing. That's called selling for a premium. And then that generates extra cash. And so what these underwriters do is they sell these things for a premium, they get the extra cash, and then they give it back to you. So the day of the sale, we'll do one of two things, depending on how much cash is generated. If it's significant, we reserve the right to resize these bonds. Let's say we get an extra $150,000 in re-offering. We'll buy down that 3.83 million by the $150,000. If it's not significant, then we'll just simply move it into the debt service account and then lower the revenues that we need to. But regardless of whether they do a par sale, as I'm showing here, or a premium sale, it should all work out to be about the same. Because either you're borrowing the full amount at a lower interest rate, or you're borrowing slightly less at a higher interest rate, paying to the same. So we don't care, it's something. The other recommendation is that we're going to pursue a rating through this competitive sale. So Standard & Poor's would look through your finances, the official statement that we prepare. There'll be a management call, which we've already got scheduled, and we'll get a rating. I expect they'll affirm your current rating, which is AA-. Very good rating. One thing to point out with the credit enhancement along with the rating is that there's documentation that needs to be done in the state of Minnesota to get mom and dad to co-sign the loan. And we have to have that material in hand before the rating call. And so when we're done tonight, after questions and so forth, if we decide to move forward, I would ask Mayor for a couple minutes of time so that my wife was in the audience and get some signatures so we can get that process rocking and rolling right away tomorrow. All right, so why don't I stop there and see where questions.
I'm not sure I've got the basis to be able to ask questions. Looks like it's really well laid out. Looks like you guys, and staff have thought of everything. I'll move for approval of resolution 2313 on this. Right. So we're, never mind. I'm sorry, 2314. Didn't check off the other one. Right. Second.
Motion and a second, of resolution 2314. So Mike, what you laid out here is fairly typical for what we've done with other street projects in the plan.
Correct. We have, during the COVID times, we have done some direct bank placements just because the markets are so wonky. But we're getting to the point where it's back to the more traditional sense.
So with the state of Minnesota, their rating is being.
Yep.
Unless, I suppose, with your knowledge with our city, just for those in attendance, are you feeling overall comfortable with this approach?
Yes, absolutely. I anticipate, even if we weren't getting the credit advancement, I anticipate you get green. Sure. But with the AAA rating, they just give us one or two extra bids, and that always helps.
All right, council, we have a motion and a second for resolution 2314. Any other discussion, questions? Otherwise, Randy.
Aye.
JP.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Aye. And this goes. Here's all we got.
Thank you. So, like I asked, we'll have just a couple seconds for signatures. And do we have a vacancy or is someone not present?
We have a member that was needed.
And then council, the next agenda item goes along with that as well for the facilities authority credit management program.
Would you like that done right away?
Then we could send it to the office.
I'll move approval of item D, the public facilities authority credit enhancement program.
One second.
Second, we have a discussion on it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Otherwise, Randy.
Aye.
JP.
Aye.
Jason. Aye. Davis, aye. We have to introduce our next item, which is request to approve Chiefs Festival fireworks display permit. Carolyn Is this a different, person doing the fireworks this year? Correct, okay.
Yeah, it's a different person, but they were implemented back in 2016. So they're familiar with the area, they've got the layout. You're listed as an additional insured school district and as chief specialist, everything's.
Like our fireworks.
They're on that one, they're at 10 seconds time. So, I'm gonna pass this along to Carolyn. First of all, I would commend you. This is probably the best, insurance certificate I've seen in terms of, covering all your bases. And I guess I just note the council's, edification. So the insured here, the party that actually gets the insurance is the vendor, the contractor that does the fireworks display. But the insurance policy then gives the same level of insurance to the city, as Carolyn indicated, but then also to everybody, all the volunteers, all the parties that are involved. Importantly, the event sponsor, the Chiefs Festival Committee. It's at the school where the show is going to happen, so it's really comprehensive. It's a great insurance certificate if you really need insurance certificates. The only thing, Carolyn, that would just for future when we fill out these forms, the actual application form indicates proof of bond or certificate of insurance in the amount of $10 million. And I think you got the 10 million. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you got the 10 million by adding the two aggregate amounts, the 5 million each occurrence and the 5 million total aggregate. I'm guessing. So, and those actually don't stack like that. So it's actually really 5 million, which is more than enough. So
Sure.
zero problem with it, but just FYI. For this, so, thanks. Thank you, Mike.
Just a real quick question. You showed distances to, it looks like 3 houses and a football field. Is that all the closer people are allowed to be?
I don't have the map in front of me, but it's the same seating as last year or in the previous years. It'll be set up in the same area.
Did we block off trail in years past? I was looking at the trail going, that's closer than those homes.
We attempted to flag it.
Yeah, I mean, we put barricades.
Okay. That we're covered by the insurance, so, go for it, we don't lose some fingers.
In action.
I'll move to approve the Chief Festival firework display permit.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Thanks again, Carolyn. Brandy.
Aye.
JP. Aye. Jason.
Aye.
And David is an aye. The rumors going. Okay, we have an update for item F. This is with our building inspector. Got some updates to share with the community. How you doing, sir?
Hello, Council. It's a pleasure on my behalf to be here tonight, just to tell you why I've been very thankful for the time that I've been able to spend serving this community. Casey and I have each taken full-time jobs. I was called into the ministry full-time, and Casey's gone to work for Wilson County full-time as police officer. That being said, we didn't want to walk away and leave the city in a bad position. I am very well acquainted with all the building inspection agencies around us. And I sought after CMS because of the situations I know that take place in these other companies. And I felt that they were going to be the best fit to carry on and do what Casey and I have done, what Tom set up originally as we've gone through time. And my intention here is over the course of a year, still being involved, finishing off older permits and helping with the transition of the new business CMS, and introduce you, Randy.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
My name is Randy Bolton, and so I'll be essentially replacing Roger. So, yeah, just keep it short and sweet. I met a few of you briefly on Friday. Yeah, just looking forward to working with all of you. So,
Busy community and all that have served very, very well. Appreciated their work tremendously.
And the whole thing here is we're trying to keep this as simple as possible. and not be a problem for the city, but actually be a positive and not a detriment. Like I said, I sought them out, no one came looking, and for that very particular purpose, and so hopefully over the course of this year, we will be pleased but not notice anything of much for bumps or hiccups.
No, look, appreciate your service and wish you well. And your local families, I'm sure we'll see you around.
Okay.
So,
Yes, thank you, Bill.
thank you, and welcome. I appreciate it.
Council, just so you know, won't get released tonight, but I'm guessing next council meeting will update our contract with CMS. So.
Excellent. We're gonna move on to item G, resolution 23-15, approving the mobile food unit license for Tribute Soda Fountain Popcorn Way. Action. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Exact same as last year.
Yeah, so last year it was for their ice cream truck. This year it'll be for popcorn wagon that we've heard about previously. That was last year. They like it up and running last summer, but now it's going to go this summer. So we've
It
got-
will also be used as, like the welcome booth for Cheese Fest and, for fundraising purposes throughout the community.
I'll move resolution 2315.
Second, and all the paperwork was in order, and they had everything filled up that we needed to fill out, so we appreciate that, and he's definitely been bringing a lot of things to find out, so we appreciate that. Brandy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David is aye. Item H is a request to approve the raffle permit for the Pine Island Youth Basketball on June 3rd at Trailhead Park.
Mr. Mayor. Actually, it needs to make an amendment to the date. They changed that from June 3rd to June 7th.
Second,
Yes.
so that is gonna be a permit for June 2nd, 2023 at Trailhead Park. Any questions on this, council?
I'll move to approve the raffle permit on June 2nd, at Trailhead Park.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Dumb question, they don't need to reapply, we just change the dates on the official paperwork, and that's fine.
Randy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David is aye. Thank you, Stephanie. Item I is resolution 23-16, approving the liquor license to the Pine Island Golf Course. Any discussion on this, council, or questions? Otherwise, everything's been pretty straightforward in the paperwork.
Just remember.
Yeah, so typically we do renewals in November. So this is just like the renewals that we do in November. It's just a few months later.
Anyways, we get a motion now?
Move resolution 2316.
A motion in a second.
I'll second.
Randy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and David is aye. Okay, we're gonna move on to the additions here. Resolution 23-17, approving the mobile food unit license for 2 Cavemen Grilling.
Again, this is just a renewal for the mobile.
I'll move approval for the food license for Tuesday windows.
Second.
The motion in a second. They're locally owned and we appreciate their services around here. Brandy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David is aye. Request for a variance on the number of chickens to be kept in the city.
So this is, I think it's on one of the tabs on your laptops or browser, since it was in addition to the agenda. So Ms. Carrie Henderson had submitted a chicken application. She is seeking a variance, so our ordinance allows 3 chickens, and so she would like to keep 10.
What's the fee on 10 compared to 3? Is there a difference?
Well, we don't we've never allowed any more than 3, so I didn't.
But what's the fee for 3?
25, I believe, 20.
All right. So we keep that the same.
Yeah, we
It's
keep
not a
it-
per chicken fee, it's a. fee
yeah, it's
for-
just for the
having
chickens,
chickens.
right?
Gotcha.
That's correct, so.
I'll move the variance, accepting the variance. Number of chickens, same fees, $25. Or, yeah.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to honor the request to, for a variance to increase the number of laying hens from 3 to 10, no roosters, no butchering, items and all that stuff. Letter was submitted, so any other questions, council?
Just to clarify, this is a case by case change to our existing ordinance,
Yes,
so,
sir.
okay, thank you.
And I would like to add to that, she just applied, so we still have to go through that actual application, so this would just be,
Assuming the.
Changing the number of
application is
chickens,
approved, she's
yeah.
allowed 10 instead of 3.
Right, council. So we have a motion and a second. We'll vote, Brandy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David is aye. Well done, Carrie. So chicken going on.
You guys must have been a lot of things.
We're a big family.
Well, thank you for doing that.
$8 a dozen. That's-
Great.
So,
Well, I mean, you're saving $8 a dozen for eating that many eggs, that's great.
All right, we have to move on to item L, which is David Brown's financial engagement letter.
this is from, so like Bonnie works for Big Brown, so this is just an engagement letter, we don't have to have them on file, we just, do an engagement letter every few years, it pretty much just states the fees. And so David Brown's company likes to have these on file anytime. I can contact them. So, but you see the fee schedule, as you know, Mr. Bond does like a capital and financial plan every year. We try to update these records. If you,
For formality.
yeah, for formality, please.
So what, move acceptance of their,
To approve it, exactly.
I'll move approval, for section of David Brown's financial engagement letter.
Okay.
A motion and a second to approve the financial engagement letter from David Brown. Randy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
David is aye. They do a very nice job in the layout of this financial. We're going to move on to addition item N, which is the civil defense appointment memo.
So just to get some background on this, this was more so of a formality, so our city ordinances, chapter 2, section 11, subdivision, to states that, our civil, or our emergency management agent, we shall have an emergency management agency and the director shall be appointed, by the mayor. And so, with that vacancy being opened up, last year, Mayor Freeze has now, appointed 2 individuals to share the position. Hopefully this will help some continuity as well as some public towns. And we'll have somebody in town take over those responsibilities. I've been kind of filling in the last 10 months.
This predates my time on council, but I think one of the most brilliant things council did was removing this from the public works department in favor of a standalone individual as part of their job descriptions. And talking with one of the individuals named on this memo, they had nothing but praise for the individual who did that separate from the fire department. Obviously that individual has since left. When I asked them about it, they said they did not seek this out. They came to me and told me, like, I'm really busy. but I guess I thought I could do it. At its core, given the fact that a previous council saw fit to split this out and stop kind of the robbing Peter to pay Paul personnel issue, I would very much like to see this stay as a standalone position, so we're not robbing from Public Works in the middle of a critical incident. We're not robbing from a fire department in the middle of a critical incident.
We did take that into consideration with the mayor, Cruz and I, had discussions, and we actually, one of the points that we discussed is most of the meetings are during our working schedules, and so it actually, works better to have a full-time city employee in that position, because most of the trainings are like 4-hour and a half days, and that's a lot of people that someone else has to take vacation from another job. There's a lot of meetings throughout the month with the county, and the city, and things like that. So that was taken into account, to trying to save the city some.
Still doesn't fix the issue of a critical incident happening, your fire department is deployed, your public works staff is deployed, and now you're losing potentially 1 or 2 people, both of which are critical and more valuable in their full-time role. Mr. Lenz, certainly in his full-time role, is more valuable in a plow truck, in a heavy-duty piece of equipment moving trees in case of a tornado, straight line winds, than being the person who's coordinating the EOC operation. And I can make the same argument that if you've got 21 full-time or fully qualified firefighters right now, and you've got 18 of them out there, and then suddenly this heart attack, they've got to get from there too. So does your EOC operator leave EOC and go, or do you pull people from sandbag and they've got to go? You create a manpower, personnel power issue again, which is exactly what I was moved before. If we do this, I'd like to see it no more than 12 months if we reevaluate the position and try to figure out if there is a way to cover it, as we did when Mr. Schaefer was here.
Certainly take a look at that. But in the consideration of this conversation was had with Public Works, with the fire department, City Hall, to address the personnel component of that. We looked at the experience level of it as well, and that's where 3-4 months worth of conversation took place to address some concern about the personnel and with the staffing levels that we have with the city and the fire department. I'm very confident in being able to use these individuals in that capacity, as well as having 2 individuals rather than 1 to help serve that purpose. So I would, if you're wanting to have us put a review 12 months, that's going to be
3 or 4 months, this has been a conversation, and the rest of us hear about it in the memo Friday before the meeting.
well, that's the mayor thing. I don't have to.
No, we talk about transparency and making sure that we are being above board with absolutely everything we do, and making sure we don't get back into a tit for tat, good old boys club.
No, like, the mayor has the right to complain to this. The mayor just did. So we brought it forth for the ability to have discussion as a courtesy. So I take your concerns wholeheartedly, and but it's the appointment that I decided at this time. So if you'd like to have review this in 12 months,
Not sure it's going to make a difference in 12 months.
that's fine. But your concerns have been addressed, or have been acknowledged.
Right, and I guess we need to look at ordinances too, to make sure we keep things, so it's not just an appointment of 1 for all 5 council members.
Yeah, but this is state. State. It's not just.
Statutory, but you're saying that in this case.
This is across the state, so this is not straight. So I want to reassure you that it's not just. So
I'll make a motion to approve it and review in 12 months.
I'll second.
That's what we'll-
that sounds good. We have a motion, a second, discussion. Green.
Aye.
Vicky. Meg. Jason.
Aye.
David. on to planning commission. Listed under planning.
No, you got it.
All right, we move on to public works and engineering. Item eight is public works garage plumbing quotes. How are you taking this one?
Here. When we put concrete in those buildings, I want to make sure we have the right drainage system in there, and so I got quotes, one from BEC and one from Water. He came in at 26,000. Waterworks came in at 19, 6-inch drain, which we can clean ourselves. The other shop we can't do with our equipment, we have to hire it done. So I can add 6-inch.
Yeah. See, so if I can back truck, we can get that awesome.
You got a recommendation?
There's quite a spread of,
$10,000 spread difference.
so. Cleaning their car waterworks.
You need a motion on this? Make the motion to approve the water works.
We have a motion, do you have a second?
Question though, so that just includes interiors.
That was just, you have to have a licensed plumber to install that.
But they'll look it up to the city,
Yeah,
stuff like that, so it's interior all the way out to our.
out to the building, outside of the building.
And then we'll address the other half.
As part of the other bit, okay.
Yeah. Two different systems, two different sets of quotes.
Gotcha.
I really like to keep the local.
I do too, $10,000 is just, and I believe Mr. Cocker uses union employees, which would make sense of why it's probably. So my heart is with finding out my heart is with union labor, but with 3,500 taxpayers, we need to do the most prodigious thing.
Motion is second, any other discussion, council? All those in favor, oops, sorry, Brandy.
Aye.
Vicky.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Absolutely, aye. Thank you to those companies for putting in votes. Thanks, Todd. And then we'll go to item B, which is approving quote for 8th Street Southwest reconstruction.
And we'll see if Craig needs a second. So I'm gonna take you way back. So last year, we approved the Windmill Woods second edition subdivision, which is at the end of 8th Street there. Part of the agreement was, the city would extend the sanitary sewer and the water main. Currently, it's at Champagne Court, and we would extend that to Campbell Court. And that would be the city's cost, because that would benefit the city, because in the future, then we could do a road project on Campbell Court, and it sets us up to get those residents on sanitary sewer and on city water as well. And so we got 3 different quotes, which are before you. So we have the Cook Excavating for $173,918, Cats Excavating for $175,223, and Schumacher Excavating for $181,710. With this, it's, if you remember, we talked about like the realignment of 8th Street, and so that'll kind of be part of this project as well, is that realignment to get the street actually in the city right away, because currently it's on township property and not within city limits. So that's included in here. I will point out that if the engineer's quote is over $175,000, we do need to seek bids for the project. So the engineer's quote was under $175,000, so that's why we sought quotes out. So there are a few quotes that are over that $175,000 threshold, but then there's the Cook Excavating, which is under that threshold.
Elizabeth took my took my words away. I was gonna ask the question whether we reached the conclusion that we anticipated it being under 175, and that has been answered, so perfect. And one of the quotes is, of course, under, so.
Well, we have a recommendation, council, in the report based on the pricing quotes that were given. And this will be an action item.
I'll move approval of the quick excavating the amount of $133,918.70 for the street reconstruction.
We have a motion and do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and second, any other discussion? Nice to get this going. So, Brandy.
Aye.
JP.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
David is aye. We'll work on that, City Hall, and then we are gonna move on to item C, which is request to sell public works equipment. There's a list of items, including seed spreader, 500-gallon water tank, steel loader mount, 3-point excavator attachment, Paul Burt's, drain tile, pipe threader, air decks. Whole list of items.
So every spring and summer, we typically go through the shop equipment and any equipment that has been unused, or if we're upgrading equipment, we're getting rid of old equipment. We can release this for you to bring to Graves auction where we typically do.
Are we no longer gonna be moving the trees that we've been planting to pre-grow? I think that's the reason we bought the tree stand. I think we have a whole bunch of trees still sitting there.
It's not big enough.
Oh, it's not big enough. Awesome. Trees grew too fast.
So the trees that we gotta move are
Too big to wait out.
and it won't handle it.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That'll be a good deal for somebody. I don't think you guys think that's a nice machine. And like the seed spreader, I mean, I know we do projects, how do you spread the seed?
We have a couple.
You have a couple, awesome.
That money go back into the public works.
Hopefully it goes back to their budget, right?
It goes back on the general from the other revenues.
But can we earmark the money to go back to public works for different costs, or is that not allowed?
That's typically not how it works on the back end of the books.
Well, shucks. Sorry, Todd, I tried. I will move approval to allow the staff to sell the items they want to sell. Good enough?
Good, we have a motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second. Thanks, Public Works for. Brandy.
Aye.
JP.
Hi.
Jason.
Aye.
David is aye. We'll check our list to make sure that everything goes in there. Public Works item B. Quote for shop excavation work. Is this the other item, right?
This is for the water and sewer service going to the shop. There's two bids, one from Schumacher at 13,000 and one from Cass at 13,450. It's a pretty tight bid.
I do also want to let council know that, with this excavation, it brings the project over budget. So these quotes would be over budget of what we had initially planned, just because initially we weren't going to put in the drainage system, but we wanted just to have a longevity, to put in the drainage system to do it right the first time. We do believe that we have the money in other, public works accounts. We're just kind of waiting to see where final totals are. However, if we don't have the money in the other accounts, then I'm asking that, this be taken out of the ARPA funds, which we do still have some of those funds.
You work with these guys day in, day out. The only big thing I saw of different other than about $450 was CAT specifies right in there that rock applications or removal is not included, removal of extra material is not included. Schumacher, was that a notation in there on that? Do they typically charge extra for that stuff, or they need us to deal with the?
Yeah, usually they will. It depends on how bad it is.
Right.
I don't see anything there, so, but if it could,
Who knows what?
I mean, we pulled boulders out here already, so who knows what we're gonna hit.
Do you have a preference? I mean, it's $450.
They're both good contractors. I just don't wanna, myself, I don't wanna set a precedence of
Paying more.
pay more and then
Stay with the low dollar.
otherwise what happens here is then we lose
sharpen our pencil.
It was tight.
$450 is
Yeah.
impressive.
Very good. Like I said, they're both great contractors, work with them both.
I'll move approval of the Schumacher bid in the amount of $13,000 to perform the work needed at the public workshop.
Motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second to approve Schumacher for the excavation with the public workshop. It's a project that we've been talking about for a while, so it'd be nice to get this done. Any other discussion, council? Brandy,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and Dave is an aye. And that concludes public works. We're gonna go into legal, Bob.
Mayor, I've got the closed session item. I don't think I have anything else to report on unless Elizabeth reminds me of something. So I'll hold my fire for that.
Make a motion to approve claims.
So
Brandy.
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Jason, David, let's do our department reports quick. Administrator, do you have anything?
I do. I would like to comment, we have a lot of projects going on as a big year this month, but I just kind of want to give a rundown of the major projects. So we are replacing the water meters throughout the city. I just want to bring that as better chance I get, so people aren't shocked. So again, we're working with a company called HydroPort, and people will be receiving letters that will have the city logo on them, along with HydroPort, some directions on how they make appointments with HydroPort for the water meter to be switched over. So that should be coming here, I'm guessing, within the next month or so. They're finishing up another project. Secondly, the license bureau is opening up tomorrow at its new location. So we've been waiting on glass of all things, like the last month for them to be able to open. So come check it out. It's a beautiful facility. They did a really good job on it. And I know our deputy registrar is very excited for the new location. So we got them all moved over today, got all the technology set up, everything like that. So we're hoping smooth sailing tomorrow. We're still pumping away at our financial software, so we're moving all of our information over. I cannot thank Stephanie and Carol enough for the work that they're putting in. It's a lot of time out there, and that's just to make sure all of our information is being switched over to the new software. So there'll be more on that. We're going through training. We want to give a little shout out to the pool, so we're still looking for a few more lifeguards and safety instructors for swimming lessons. So if you guys know anybody, please send them the city's way. So we'll apply for that. And then I know it's in the parks update, but I just want to let you guys know that the park board is talking about doing the ice rink this summer. And so we're looking at companies for getting the permanent boards. And so then that project that's going to come out for the next 3 years. So lifeguards and WSI is 16. We do pay our 15-year-olds to work the concession.
There's no maximum age.
I'm too old.
And I guess I would like to point out, I know we're very excited about Stephen, the official. It's been a wonderful 6 months having him assisting.
Rachel's not here for library. Did she want to share anything?
No, usually she gives me little points, and she did not. I think she has programming. Yes, so she was able to be here.
I'm busy.
Just like to thank the staff there for with water side, they're all involved. Streets, one's licensed over there. So. Very proud of them.
Mitch, nothing from you. Fire department, got burger fee coming up. Enjoy burgers, good conversation. Sheriff's office not here. Cemetery board. Licensing Bureau. Otherwise, pursuant to Minnesota statute sections 13D.05 subdivision 3C3, the meeting will be closed to discuss offers or counter offers for the purchase of sale or real property owned by the city comprised of approximately 80 acres adjoining or near to the Highway 52 overpass. That land consists of excess right of way obtained for the overpass project. A complete listing of the PIDs can be obtained from the city upon request, which this will then be going into closed session. So I appreciate everybody in attendance tonight. Thank you. It's a longer meeting, but we got through it, so appreciate your patience. So,
Yeah.
motion.
Motion to close meeting pursuant to what David has read.
Second. Motion second, Brandy.
Aye.
JP. Aye. Jason. Aye. David. Aye.